I've got good news and I've got bad news. The bad news is I have broken a rib or maybe 2 or 3 while surfing. The good news is that means I have some time on my hands to think about how to keep my body working while I have a broken rib or ribs. And I'm going to make a video to share what I learned during this process. For those of you who have been following me for a long time, I did actually break my ribs about 10 years ago when I was wrestling with friends. This time around, there was nobody involved except for a big ocean wave that decided to crest and turn into a very hollow barrel. And while it's the dream of every surfer to be riding barreling waves, it's not the dream of every surfer to be axed by the lip and thrown into 2 feet of water. Also not the dream of every surfer to have their ribs thrown directly into that water at high speed and feel something go. Which brings me to the other good news. I didn't drown. But back on topic, in this video, I'm going to talk about things that you can do when you have a broken rib to help your body bounce back quicker and to just overall improve your life, even though you've got that broken rib. And I'm going to talk about some things you absolutely should not be doing if you have a broken rib. So before we jump into the things you can do, please know that I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving you medical advice. This is just observations based on my own personal experience having broken ribs now twice in my life. The number one thing you can do easily, even if you have a broken rib, is breath work and meditation. Yes, your ribs might be sore, and yes, sometimes if you take a really deep breath, it can hurt a lot. But if you are taking kind of shallower breaths or just medium breaths, it's not a big deal. Now for me, because I want to be better at surfing and swimming in general, I'm using this time to kind of do some breath work in terms of breath holds, meaning I'll just hold my breath for a minute or a minute and a half, and then start breathing normally for 30 seconds and then doing that again. But if you have no ambitions to do any kind of water sports, then you don't need to be working on breath holds. You can instead be working on focused breath work. So find some sort of meditative practice that you can do for 5 minutes or 10 minutes a day, and that'll help you stay calmer in the long run and help you stay sane while you are chomping at the bit to go do the stuff you used to do before your rib was broken. I know for me personally, it's a constant struggle to keep myself calm and focused by doing meditation because I just want to go do other stuff, but when your rib is broken, you can't really go do the other stuff, so you can just sit and meditate. The number 2 thing you can do is stretching, and you obviously need to be careful about this. Don't go into any positions that feel like they really aggravate your ribs, but your lower body is probably fair game, and if you're somebody who's really active and really into all kinds of aggressive adventure type activities, which is how you broke your rib in the first place, you probably have really neglected hip flexibility and overall leg flexibility, so this is a great time to work on it. You can do hamstring stretches, hip flexor stretches, inner thigh stretches, all that stuff at a moderate intensity so you don't feel like you're holding your breath or gasping for air and hurting your rib. And if you want ideas on how to stretch your lower body, I've got some videos that you can watch that I'll link to in the description box and up above. The third thing you can do is lightly loaded or just body weight lower body exercises. This will help you build strength and coordination and improve your overall balance. You can work on progressions for the pistol squat, or you can just do body weight squats really slow and controlled. You can play with different body positions, with your knees going forward, with your butt going way back, and just see if you can improve all those different angles and permutations. You definitely don't want to try to do barbell squats on your back or in front because you will feel your ribs really hating you. And if you're a real stubborn idiot and you really heavily load your barbell, you might snap your ribs. And if you think a broken rib is a problem, just wait until you experience a punctured lung. And the fourth thing you can be working on is light cardio. So you don't want to be running and sprinting at top speed on concrete where you're jarring your ribs, but you can do things like exercise bikes, you can bike outside, you can go for a light, easy stroll or a light, easy jog on the beach. You can do all that cardio stuff that seems really boring under normal circumstances. If you have easy access to hiking trails, then make sure to pick the easier trails so you aren't clambering or bouldering up cliff sides, but pick the trails where you're just kind of gently going along and you get to see the trees and the nature and the weeds and the plants and the poison oak and the ocean. Basically, the message here is to dial things back and use this as an opportunity to address some of those fundamental, easier, lower intensity exercises that you often ignore. You can stretch, you can build strength in awkward positions, you can do things without all the heavy stuff and without all the blood, sweat, and tears. Identify some of the weak points that you always found too boring to address and start working on them now. You can't do things at the high intensity that you could without hurting yourself again. So while you're waiting for your ribs to come back, you can start addressing all these fundamental issues. And then when your ribs are better, you're going to have a solid foundation that makes you better at whatever your activity is. Which now brings me to the things you absolutely should not do. Number one is sit-ups or planks, because those muscles attached to your rib cage, it's almost definitely gonna feel like crap when you start doing those. Currently, I can't even lie straight back down in bed because it feels like somebody's stabbing me in the rib cage when my abs are engaged. Trying to do a side plank or any kind of plank just doesn't seem like a good idea. Number two is sneezing or coughing or even laughing. To prevent sneezing, I am making sure that I'm not eating foods that I know trigger some of my allergies. So for example, eggs or dairy, those tend to make my eyes water and then give me these massive sneezing fits that last for about 5 minutes. I accidentally consumed something with egg the other day and it was horrible. I'm also trying to make sure that I'm nice and warm when I go to bed at night so that I don't start coughing in the middle of the night, because when I cough, the muscles all around the ribs go, ugh, and it hurts, it really hurts. And finally, push-ups, bench press, handstands, doing back bridges, all of that for right now is out of the question. If I even try to do a push-up, it feels horrible right here, so I'm not doing those. And if you have a break in the same spot, it's probably not a good idea either. A simple way you can figure out whether you can or cannot do something is to figure out if it really hurts and feels like somebody's stabbing you in the ribs. If it feels like you're being stabbed in the ribs, you should probably not do that thing. Seems like people should be able to figure this out. This doesn't mean you have to cut out all upper body exercises, but you probably do need to reduce the weight and the intensity so that you can do them safely and without feeling like you're just pulling on a broken bone. I'm currently using dumbbells and training straps like the TRX and going to the gym and using light pulley machines so that I can get a full range of motion without feeling like I'm hurting myself. I have the weights all dialed back and I'm just going for slow, controlled, higher repetitions to feel like my body is working so that those muscles don't atrophy while we're waiting for the ribs to heal. The last thing I want to happen is for all the muscles in my upper body to just kind of shrink and shrivel, because then I'm gonna end up with a lot of pain because atrophy aches. And I also don't want to end up with atrophy-induced immobility. So focus on full ranges of motion, but make sure you're using light enough weights that you never feel like you're having to crunch and actually hurt your ribs. You should maintain the ability to breathe calmly while you're exercising so that you're not just making things worse. And also, let's maintain or create really good range of motion in our upper bodies. If you have really stiff shoulders and you can't even raise your arm up properly, then now is a great time to work on that flexibility so that your shoulders function normally, so that when your ribs are ready, the whole rest of your body is ready too. So for the next few weeks, this is gonna be my life. So let me know if you have any other tips about living life with a broken rib and maintaining your physical health and your mental health while you are sitting on the sidelines with an aching rib or ribs. If you want to support this channel, go to uprighthealth.com/donate and see all the easy options like Patreon or PayPal. And if you want a program to help you rebuild your body at home, go to uprighthealth.com/DIY to find a program that'll work for you. For more free videos to help you think right, move right, and feel right, check these out here. Like, share, and subscribe. And as always, I hope you remember that pain sucks, life shouldn't.